Welcome back everybody to another Valorant guide. Today we're going to be talking about a dreaded subject, economy. Now I know it's not the most glamorous topic, but economy management can absolutely change the tides of a match. This video will be broken down into two parts. First we will cover the basics and most important aspects of economy. If you understand and implement these concepts, you will rank up, I can guarantee it. Later on we will break down how to manage your economy in every round of the match. I will be covering each round individually, so if you want to jump straight there, check the timestamps down in the description. Starting off with the basics, there are 4 different ways to spend your economy in-game. The first one we're going to talk about is full buy. This is when you can get your ideal gun, full armor, and typically all of your abilities. Now full buy rounds are pretty straightforward, but basically, if your opponent's guns are worse than yours, you want to play incredibly safe. The last thing you want to do is arm your opponents with your own Phantom or Vandal. You don't want to be paying for their weapons. Conversely, if you're saving against a full buy, your main goal is to steal their weapon so that you can get that free econ. Now, similarly to a full buy, there's what's called a force buy or force round. This is when you don't quite have enough credits to full buy, but you need to buy everything you can in order to buy yourself a chance back into the game. This is usually only done if you're losing really badly, and it's usually done near the last remaining rounds of the match. This is basically just to get the ball rolling again, get your team snowballing a little further, and to gain some control back from the enemies. But it's generally not a very smart bet mid-round if you're doing okay. Now when you do a force buy, it's incredibly important to win that round, because if you don't win that round, you're going to have absolutely no credits for the following rounds, and it's just going to throw you guys off entirely. Hence why we don't recommend doing this unless you're getting desperate. Alright, the next one we're going to talk about is the light buy round. This is where you're going to buy weapons and armor, but not at the most expensive capacity. This is often seen in the form of buying, say, a light armor inspector or a marshal or whatever. It can be done with a variety of guns or even full armor if you have the credits to spare, but the point of the light buy is to save enough credits to full buy in the following rounds. You'll want to use very few abilities in this round so that you can save them for your full buy rounds, but if you have to use them, you have to use them. Now sometimes you have to light buy even if you personally could full buy, because your team can only light buy. So if your team is only going, say, full armor specters, you're going to want to follow suit. You don't want to go full armor vandal, because you're just going to put yourself at a disadvantage if you lose that round, whereas your team will then be able to buy Phantom and Vandals next round. So you're already kind of at a high risk situation in this round. You don't want to risk throwing away your weapon and failing next round as well. Lastly, we have what's called an eco round, or a full save. This usually comes in the form of not buying any guns, maybe at most buying, say, a sheriff or a ghost, and usually you don't spend money on armor here as well, but again, if you have a little bit of extra currency to spare, you can throw in a little bit of armor. The goal of this round, the eco round, is to build up enough credits for the following rounds. Your main objective is to play like a rat and catch your enemies off guard in order to get as many kills as possible. Ideally, what you're going to do is you're going to catch your enemy off guard, you're going to take their Vandal or Phantom that they full bought, and you're going to sweep the rest of the team using that upgraded weapon. Your death in a save round is worth a lot less than the opponents who have their Vandals and Phantoms. You maybe only spent a little over 1,000 credits. They spent almost 4,000, maybe even more. So getting a kill on the enemy, even getting one and then getting traded, is much higher value in your favor. In the light buy and eco rounds, you're gonna want to make it your main focus to just pick off as many as you can and try to get that gun upgrade off of the kills that you obtain. The point here is to scale as much as possible. Now, one thing I want to emphasize before we move on from the basic section of this video is that your credits are your team's credits and vice versa. Do not be afraid to buy your team guns. It's only going to help in the long run. Even in my personal games, I would rather buy the bottom fragger on the team a gun than to buy it for myself, because it's going to keep the mental capacity of the team up, and that's going to be much more valuable than getting an extra kill or two in that round yourself. Even if they don't do anything with it, the mental state that you put them in is going to be worth it. In summary, in force and full buy rounds, you want to play smart and, more importantly, stay alive. In light and eco rounds, your goal is to outnumber your foes, rush them, or catch them off guard to pick up high-end weaponry from their bodies, or at the very least, get it out of their hands for next round. Alright, so moving on to our round by round analysis of how you should spend your economy. First round, pretty straightforward. It varies depending on all the different characters, so I'd recommend Googling, YouTubing, whatever you need to do, guides to how to buy first round for your character. But to put it simply, you want to spend all of your credits on first round, because it is the most important round of the game. Obviously, there's a first round, second half as well. That's incredibly important too. Now, the reason you want to full buy is because your goal is to snowball off of this round into the rest of the game and build up your currency right from the start. If you win first round, there should be no reason you lose second or third round. So usually what the buy is going to be on first round is a pistol and utility, or sometimes you can go pistol and armor, though that isn't nearly as important these days, especially with characters like Chamber in the meta, who is going to one-shot tap you in the head whether you have armor or not. So usually it's more valuable to get some util instead of your armor and use that to your advantage. Now, once you win first round, going into second round, you're going to want to full buy armor and a decent weapon, something like a Spectre or a Marshal, depending on what your preference is. Usually my go-to recommendation is buy full armor Spectre and get as many abilities as you can muster, but they're not as important here. Now on second round, you're going to have such a huge economy advantage. You're going to have, for example, the armor and Spectre, whereas your opponents are still just going to be living off of pistols, so you don't want to throw this round away by not buying at all. If you don't buy, you basically give your enemies a free chance back into the game by giving them a solid, even 1v1. Buying in the second round should almost guarantee the round win. Your goal here is to play safe and do not give your enemies the free guns by playing too aggressive. They likely have pistols, a lot of them are probably using shorties or something to try and get cheesy kills. Your goal is to not die to that. Last thing you want to do is to be the first one onto site, get shortied, have them pick up your Spectre, and now your team is pushing into a Spectre instead of just a couple shorties. Now, for the team that lost after pistol round, your goal here is to save for third round. Use as little currency as you can, and try to get cheeky, caught off guard kind of kills on your enemies. Your goal here is to ideally pick up an enemy weapon, usually going to be something like a Spectre, and you want to get those guns out of the enemy's hands. It's really hard to win second round if you lost first round. This is where the snowballing happens. So your goal is to take out as many people as possible and either be forcing, say, 4 out of 5 of them to spend full credits on third round, or to obviously pick up a gun and win the round yourself. Alright, so for third round, if you won second round, you get what's called a bonus round. This is where you carry on your guns, for example, your full armor Spectre. You're going to have your Spectre left at the very least after second round, so you're going to want to carry that into the third round. Don't throw your perfectly good Spectre on the ground and pick up a Phantom or a Vandal, because you want to carry in that extra currency to the fourth round. This bonus round is exactly that. You are on an even playing field with your opponents, and whether or not you lose, you're going to have more currency than the enemies in the next round. Now, since you guys are likely working off of Spectres and Marshals, your goal here is to, much like losing first round and how you play second round, just like a rat trying to get enemy guns, you're going to do that this round as well. You have a Spectre, there's a chance your enemies have Phantom or Vandal, if you can identify that and try and take it from them, that's really high value. But otherwise, this should be another free round, basically. Your enemy's mental state is dropping, you get free kills, no problem. Now, for the losing team of second round, going into third round, you're going to want to spend as much money as you've got. Usually this is going to be in the form of a full armor Spectre. Sometimes you can do a partial armor Vandal or Phantom. The point here is to get this edge back into the game, because your enemies are likely using a bonus round. If you can beat them, it puts you on a really even playing field on round 4, and that's going to be your ticket back into the game. I know losing those first few rounds feels really awful, and it can really put down your mental state, but if you can keep that up and get some guns out of the enemy's hands, that's ideal. Now, going on through the rest of the rounds, usually 4 through 12th round or whatever, it's going to be a case-by-case basis. If you have enough credits, if your whole team has enough credits to full buy, you do that. If you don't have enough credits to full buy, you're either going to light buy to have full credits for next round, or if light buy isn't going to get you enough credits for next round, you gotta completely save to have an econ round. Sorry, an eco round. This eco round is going to give you the credits to full buy in the next round. Alright, I think this pretty well wraps up the topic of economy. You just gotta recognize when to buy and when to save, and if you go off of those first basic points that I listed today, and you know and identify when to use each type of buy, that's going to get you to win games, and you're going to skyrocket in RR for sure. But again, I will emphasize, by all means, the most important takeaway is your credits are your team's credits, and vice versa. Always be willing to buy for your team and actually be looking for it. If you open your buy menu and you see that your allies do not have enough credits to buy their guns, and you have enough to buy your gun and an extra, buy an extra gun for them. I know it's going to hurt your economy, but it'll make your team's overall economy significantly better and give you a better chance of winning the round, which will give you more credits as well. Another thing to note is that you get credits for kills and planting or defusing spike, so even if you're attacking and you kill all the enemies and you get the win, in those last few seconds of the timer, you're going to want to go and plant spike, because that gives each person on your team 300 extra credits to spend, which can make or break the next round. But that's going to do it for today's video. If you guys liked it, hit that like button down below, and otherwise I want to have a conversation with you guys down in the comments, so if you have anything to say about the topics of this video, feel free to leave it down there and I will have a chat with you. This is less of a, I said this previously, but this is less of a, hey, look at me, look at what I know, and more so I just want to have conversations with you guys and hopefully enlighten people on how to use their economy. But without further ado, have a lovely rest of your day, evening, morning, afternoon, and night. Bye-bye.